Yes, Representative.
Representative Montgomery, you are recognized to explain House Bill 1001.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, an act to require the use of air conditioning in certain vehicles would require that school bus rides over 2 hours would have air conditioning during when weather was at a certain point when it was too high, because I know that in a situation last summer when my volleyball team went to a summer camp in Missouri, we had several girls actually pass out from heat exhaustion, and it's become a present issue for many of our teams during summer. Are there any questions?
Representative Mayberry, for what purpose?
Question.
Let's hear your question.
How expensive is that going to be to get air conditioners either put into these buses or get new buses?
Air conditioning units cost anywhere from about $130 to $1,000, and you would only need it in about one bus, depending on the size of your school. Larger schools might need 2 or 3, and most modern buses already have air conditioning in them, so as schools replace their buses, they would already have a bus with air conditioning.
Representative Nix, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
Where would you get the funding from?
Most schools already have funding for whenever they need new buses, so that would cover it in that purpose. And if a school is in need of $130 to $1,000, they could take it from the actual athletic funds because it would benefit athletes more so.
Representative Rushing, for what purpose?
A question.
You're recognized.
You mentioned a temperature limit, but it doesn't state in the bill. Do you know what that is?
I guess I can't really answer that right now. It would be normal summer temperatures anywhere from 80 and above.
Representing Lemons, you are recognized.
Okay, so where would you would take it from the athletic fund, right? But what would you do, like so many school sports are already underfunded. What would you do for that purpose?
That would be something that we would work out if we had more time to discuss the bill.
Representative Montgomery has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Allen, you're recognized. You need to come to the well.
Okay, I speak against the bill because I think there should be air conditioning in every vehicle, not just certain vehicles, because it only takes for a few minutes for someone to pass out and die of just being in a hot vehicle for a long time. So air conditioning should be in every vehicle, not just certain ones where you pick every school bus, every car. You don't want to take a life just because of a few minutes because of being cheap for air conditioning. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Collins, you're recognized.
Okay, you guys, I am speaking for the bill because in the bill itself it says that it will be provided in any vehicle used for transportation for educational events or like extracurricular events, so it will be provided in every vehicle, not just the school buses. Thank you.
Representative Montgomery, would you like to close for the bill?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to say that this is not just for athletes. It does affect field trips and any extracurricular activities. And air conditioning units, if you put them in every bus, it would become rather expensive. And no schools have the funding to replace all of their buses. And as they do get more modern buses, you will get more air conditioning units. But in regards to athletes, do we really want them to have to get on a bus after they've played in tournaments and games, after they've already gotten hot and exhausted and have to go through that? I would appreciate a good vote.
Representative Montgomery has closed the bill. The question before the House is a passage of House Bill 1001. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everybody voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 67 yea, 24 nays, and 0 present, the bill has passed. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1002.
House Bill 1002 by Representative Childers for an act to amend the Arkansas Code concerning gifted and talented programs in public schools.
Representative Childers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, the act that I am sponsoring is to make sure that gifted and talented programs are set in place in every school. As we have gotten older through public schools, I know at my school we had a gifted and talented program in the middle school, but after there were no funds for these things because the Department of Education deemed this unnecessary, there were no programs in our high schools. The point of the Gifted and Talented program is to present a platform for people who are academically strong or strong in other areas that would give them opportunities to excel in things other than athletics. There are several things in this bill, if you will look through your packet. There are certain eligibility things that will make you eligible to be part of the program. The way that we set this bill up is that if you do not have a GPA over a 3.5 or you do not have the teacher recommendations, you could meet 3 of the others, or vice versa, depending on which eligibility platforms that you meet, in order to be able to be a part of this program. Are there any questions?
Representative Armstrong, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
Where are we going to get the funding for this new thing? Because a lot of schools already are having trouble getting the funding for other programs. Where would they get it for this one?
The funding would come from the Department of Education, and it would be up to the Department of Education to reallocate their funds that they are putting into other programs in order to make sure that there is funding for this program in all schools.
Representative Birch, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
How would you fight the stigma between children who are placed into a gifted and talented program and other children?
Okay, not to sound insensitive, but as you get into the real world, there are different programs that you are not eligible for. And so it would just be another one of those things, just like sports teams and tryouts and different things like that. You have to meet some criteria to be in it. And so before you did that, the students would make sure, and the schools would make sure that there were assemblies informing these students about the program so that they would tell the kids that what the program was for, and that it was for different academic and leadership positions so that other people realized that it is a thing for certain students. Thank you.
Representative McNair, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
Would the kids in advanced placement be anything in AP classes be above kids in regular classes even if they have the same GPA?
Okay, the GPA would be on an unweighted scale. So the kids in AP classes, they would not get that extra 5 points above kids who were in regular classes. Everything would be on the 4-point scale.
Representative Ritchie, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
When are you wanting to start this program? Is it going to start in elementary schools and go all the way through the senior year of high school, or just be in a specific time?
That is the hope, to be in elementary, middle, and high schools. Yes.
Representative Lemons, for what purpose? You're recognized.
Okay, so I see that you have to take a semester of an art class. Are you not eligible for this program until you take an art class? Because I know that some people can't fit it into their schedules until later on in high school.
Okay, so what it says is that it will be a fine arts class, whether that's drama. Depending on the school would regulate that. So as long as you put it in place with your school, so the school would be responsible for deciding whether or not that class could be taken in the future and you could qualify, or if it was required to begin.
Representative Jett, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
With there already being accelerated programs for academically excelled students, what exactly will be the point of this?
Okay, well, the Gifted and Talented program would be responsible for leading 4 events a year, 1 per 9 weeks, and it would give those students an opportunity to inform students about bullying or other things that the Gifted and Talented program decides to cover. Therefore, it's giving kids the ability to have an opportunity to lead different things throughout their school, so that even if there's academic programs that might deal with one facet of education, these kids would be able to inform the student body about anything that they decided. So yes.
Representative Petty, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
Does the bus that these students are being transported on have to be air conditioned?
Oh, I guess with the passing of this bill, yes. The previous bill.
Representative Boyd, for what purpose? Representative Watson, for what purpose?
After this one.
You're recognized.
Okay, thank you.
Like for certain schools that have different periods or blocks, how would that fit in with the other schools that don't do 8 or 7 periods? Like what about 4 block periods? How would they fit that into their schedule? Because like I know in middle school in my hometown, we're just now finna start moving into 7 periods. We have blocks, and it's kind of hard being there when you're in sports and you can't fit everything in when you have to get the certain criteria for the other classes to graduate. How would that work?
This is another decision that would come down to the schools. So in some schools, there are enrichment periods or opportunities to join different clubs. So it would be the school's decision to make it as if, run as if it was a club, or to decide whether or not it was a class period. So if the bill was passed, you could take this up with the school board if you have issues like that, and you could make sure that it fits in order to your request. Okay, can I step out of the well? Oh, I'm stepping out of the well.
Okay, when you're presenting a bill, you don't have to even stay in the well and answer questions. A lot of times, if you think the bill is going to pass and you might complicate things by taking a bunch of questions, then you'll just present the bill and walk out of the well and allow people to speak for and against. The other thing I wanted to point out, if you'll look at this bill, the Bureau of Legislative Research, BLR, is a pool of attorneys that write all of the bills for us. So if you'll look at this bill, you'll see it references Arkansas Code 642106. So they take the area of code that the bill would apply to, and then the part where they line out, that means that we're taking that part out of the code, and then the part that's underlined and in bold underline, that's the part of the code that we're adding. So it's important that everything that's referenced in the bill applies to a certain area of code in law. Okay, so you don't have to stay in the well. You can answer a few questions and leave. You can answer no questions. And then after she leaves the well, you have for and against responses from the well. And I encourage all of you to take an opportunity and come speak from the well. It's you don't be embarrassed. You know, the first time you do it, everybody's kind of nervous and messes up. It's okay. And then after the for and against, she'll come back and close for her bill, and then you vote. And you can vote present. You can vote yes or no. If you don't really know where you stand on it, a lot of times I'll just vote present because I'm confused about how I feel about it. Okay. Now, sorry, for and against.
She is speaking for the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Minks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam. I don't believe this bill should be passed because later on in the bill, if you read through it, there was a wording of a test, a gifted and talented test. And I don't believe you can test people for their gifted and talentedness. What would you test them for? Like, you can't test them academically. I mean, I guess you could, but it doesn't really make sense to me how you could test somebody for them to be gifted and talented. I don't believe this bill should be passed. Please take my vote.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Hendren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to speak for this bill because I think that it provides an opportunity for students who are not involved in athletics or other activities that they might not have the ability to perform in, or if they are not interested in enjoying the clubs that the school offers. But I think it gives another program that can allow intelligent students who enjoy reading or writing or things of that aspect to get involved in their school and to have more opportunities to put things on their resume that can help them in college acceptance. And so I would encourage a good vote for this bill. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill, against the bill? Representative Brown, you're recognized.
Hello, I'm speaking against the bill because I don't know about other people's schools, but my school has a lot of separation already. Kids feel real discouraged by the AP kids, the advanced placement kids already. I feel like the Gifted Talent program will waste money, and it already discouraged kids that already are in the regular classes. They're not in the AP classes. In my school, we have a program called AVID, which everybody can join. You don't have to take a test to get anything. Most kids can't even test good. And if you have to take an art class, everybody is not good at art. I know personally I'm not gifted in any fine arts, and I think that this bill would be a waste of money. Please vote against this bill. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Tucker, you're recognized.
Hi. I would like to start off by saying if you actually go through and read this bill, it states that you have to qualify at 3 out of 5 to begin in the program. To take the test, you don't have to pass it to actually get into the program. You just have to qualify 3 out of 5 of the standards to actually join it. I'd also like to say that this program would give some kids who are very gifted and are very talented, but maybe don't have as much leadership skills as some other students do. I know for me personally, I'm in several clubs, one of them being student council, but also know that there are students out there that at my school who are so talented and so gifted and are really smart but just don't have that voice, don't have that push to do something different. And I think that giving them a different program like this one would give them the ability to do something that they couldn't do originally. That they don't have to be the loudest one out there or necessarily the best one out there. They still have a chance to do something amazing. And like in the bill, it says that they have to host 4 events a year. That teaches them to get a little bit more out of their comfort zone, a little bit more out there, to talk to more people, to do something. It gives them a chance to learn how to develop other skills that they wouldn't have learned otherwise. I also think that this program, that even though you may not be in it in the beginning, I think if a person really wanted to be in this program, they could work hard enough to join the program. It is not necessarily something that is completely closed off to just a select few. Yes, you have to meet requirements, but I think that if a student was really concerned about being in this program, they would take the effort to do what it has to do to be in it. I think this program would be absolutely phenomenal for those students who need something like this. So I think you should vote for it. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Sabin, you are recognized.
As a member or a former member of Gifted and Talented, I know how important it is to have a program that gifted students can go to. However, such a new program like this wouldn't offer a lot of benefits for people who are wanting something higher on their resume. A program that has weight on resume or college application have to be years in the making, such as our current Gifted and Talented program, or other organizations that are already present in your school, such as FBLA, the National Honor Society, stuff like that. Such a new concept like this wouldn't be accepted for many years. Not to say that it wouldn't be beneficial to students who can apply for this, but also, I hate to discriminate, but since this is such an easy way to get in, there's another example how much it wouldn't have a lot of weight on such a college application or any job resume because of its easy entrance. So I vote that you vote against the bill and that maybe we can come up with one that has more presence in the modern day. Thank you.
Representative Richmond, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
To limit the debate to 5 more minutes.
It's a proper motion. It's different.
That's a proper motion. It is not debatable. The question before the House is to limit debate to 5 minutes on the side. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Debate is limited. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Wing, you're recognized.
I might say, if if you kind of feel like everybody's just repeating the same information, a lot of times people will call for limiting the debate or immediate consideration. So, you try I'm glad y'all are coming to well. This is really more about the process. So, but, you try to kind of not repeat information that's already been presented, then that's why you would do that. Of course, some people just want to limit the debate if they feel like their bill is going off the rails. So you don't have to vote to limit the debate if you want to continue to hear the debate on the issue.
Thank you, Madam. I would just like to say that I understand that kids would feel left out and not important, and I know that some kids' self-confidence is down, but I understand what the Gift and Talent is trying to do, and it's trying to take kids that aren't in athletics and aren't higher in the school but have gifts and talents, and I feel like they should be recognized. And I feel like nothing in this world is given to us, and it's something that we have to work for. And the Gifted and Talented program is something that you have to work for. You have to get your GPA up. You have to do certain requirements, just like the real world. And when you do certain requirements like that, doors open for you. So when you meet the requirements for this and you do what you are asked of, and it's only 3 out of 5, and the entrance is not as easy as it may seem. 3.5 and 4.0 is not easy for everybody. And I think that kids who work for this and kids who achieve this goal should be recognized for the Gifted and Talented program. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Mayberry, you are recognized.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to speak against this bill because in my experience at my school, every single student that has qualified for Gifted and Talented in the past is either involved in band, choir, athletics, art, AP classes, or some other club at the school. So this is not necessarily bringing in new people that aren't already involved. And then I'd also like to point out that with the AP classes, at most schools that's an inflated GPA. And so lots of students accept to be in that class. But this bill provides for it to be on an uninflated scale. And so many students who would qualify by normal standards and who are high achieving students don't meet the 3.5 requirement. And so I'd appreciate a no vote. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Boyd, you are recognized.
I'd like to make a motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Motion for immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1002. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1002. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everybody voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. A vote of 37 yeas and 55 nays and 3 present, the bill failed. Madam Clerk, please.
I forgot to mention to y'all, regular bills just require 51, a majority vote, but we do have bills that require 2/3 vote or 3/4 vote, like appropriation bills, which are appropriating money. They require 75 votes. So there are bills that require more than the majority. Just all of these regular bills require majority vote.
Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1003.
House Bill 1003 by Representative Johnston to provide employment opportunities for the homeless, to require a municipality to establish a Department of Homeless Services and to create a work training program.
Representative Johnston, you are recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Have you ever seen someone homeless sitting on the side of the road? Have you ever wondered how you could help? Sure, money could do the trick, but that money won't last forever. They need enough resources to survive and get back on their feet. So what can help beyond that? How about providing them with jobs? Through this program, transportation will be offered to pick up visibly homeless individuals to go to do day labor work. Workers would get paid minimum wage. There would be many other services offered and referred that homeless or poor people can take advantage of, meaning that these job opportunities and this program as a whole is a support system to help get folks back on their feet. In reality, there are thousands of people in each city who could benefit from the same kind of assistance. Small scale definitely isn't such a bad way to start. Questions?
Representative Rushing, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
Your explanation, you mentioned that the service would benefit homeless or poor people. How do you specify poor people? Like, do you have specific requirements? Like, is there an income cap or what?
Yes, there would be an income cap, but as I said before, once the bill would be passed, we would improve the bill more and more.
Representative Petty, for what purpose?
Question.
You're recognized.
What kind of jobs do you think that these people are going to get? Because we're already low on jobs.
So like picking up trash, cutting down trees, anything that can help the environment.
Representative Gray, for what purpose? You're recognized.
Would all of the jobs be government sponsored, or would you reach out to private corporations to have them help create jobs?
Either way, I'm sure government funded would also help, but I think once the bill gets passed, it'll be more improvements, and we'll figure out that later in the bill.
Representative, she spoke for the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Deffenbaugh, you are recognized.
While this may seem like a good bill, all the jobs she just mentioned sounded like manual labor to me. And that seems weird that these people, while they may be homeless and poor, that they might not have the strength and stamina to do these manual labor jobs. Why don't we put them in classes like GED programs to help them get those, or some kind of certification class to help them not get these public service manual labor jobs that are I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to sound rude, but it's kind of undermining to these homeless people. So don't vote for this bill.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Hendren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I would like to encourage a good vote towards this bill because I think it is an opportunity to help people who themselves can't provide their own help. And also, I think it was, at the same time, it's an opportunity to help our environment and improve our cities and how they look and their presentation at the same time. So I think it would benefit more than just the homeless people, but it would also benefit our communities that we live in. So I would encourage a good vote towards this bill.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Watson, you're recognized.
Thanks. I would like to say that being with this bill, if it gets passed, it will kind of stop already how would you say, community service, because that's what community service people do. They go pick up the trash and stuff like that. So wouldn't that take the place of the people that does that and what they have to do to get out whatever they're in? That like takes away, if we're giving a job to them, the people who have to do community service, what would they do? That's all.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Armstrong, you are recognized.
I'd like to start this off by answering her question. What you could do for your community service is actually help these people be able to work for their money, because a lot of homeless people are in this situation because they couldn't find a job and they were not able to be able to work. And I think it's a fair point to have them working where they can make money so they can feed themselves and get off the streets. So vote yes, please.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Maggie, you're recognized.
I stand before you today to ask that you vote against this bill. It says that it is a bill to offer jobs for homeless people and poor people. What if I am a highly qualified person? What if I graduated high school? What if I graduated college, but a job just won't hire me? That discriminates against me. I'm qualified for the job, but I can't be hired. When you look at the homeless rate, most of the homeless people are homeless, not to sound rude, but by choice. They either dropped out of high school or got into illegal narcotics that left them on the streets on the side of the road. So I ask that you vote against this bill just because some people who are actually qualified can't be hired, but we're going to hire people who don't have the correct qualifications. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Sorvello, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam. I would just like you guys to consider not necessarily all of the work programs that it provides, but also the education it's offering. It says in there about how they will recommend them if they're on the homeless streets because they're addicted to something. They have Alcohol Anonymous and programs that they will be referenced to. I also ask that you look at how the programs it's offering to provide the education, getting them back in school so they can get those qualifications to get jobs. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, if I could interrupt for just 1 second. I wanted to let you guys know that you guys can actually ask questions of those who are speaking for and against as well. So there's another little trick and a complication in this. So if somebody's up speaking against and you think they've misinterpreted or misunderstand or whatever, you want to catch them on something and help the sponsor or vice versa, you can pop up and ask questions of them if the sponsor has stepped out of the well. That's another method that we use to try and get our questions answered. So just want to throw that in. Thank you.
Representative Bragg, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1003. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. No. The ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1003. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 55 yeas and 35 nays and 8 present, the bill is passed. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1004.
I might mention this to you. If a lot of times there are people that are absent, like there are 3 or 4 seats not here today, and a lot of times when people are absent, if they didn't ask, if they're not here, they ask for leave, and then that means the clerk goes and takes their key where that machine can't be voted. But I noticed Representative Gonzalez marked De La Rosa here, even though she's really not here. So if someone voted that machine for her, then you knew there were, like that vote was 55. If you have 5 hands that you don't want it to pass, you have 5 hands, it's called sounding the ballot. You can sound the ballot, and then you go around, and everyone who voted yes has to be in their seat. So if there are a lot of people absent and you sound the ballot, the vote can be overturned. So, I mean, that happens on a very controversial or close vote a lot of times, that people really don't want it to pass. They'll get, and then people go around the room and make sure that people are in their seats.
Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1004.
House Bill 1004 by Representative Rather, to designate sales tax revenues collected from online sales to be used to reduce the individual income tax.
Representative Rather, you are recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill, if passed, would limit the current income tax rate for the top bracket, which is currently at 6.9%, to a lower rate. And in order to do this, we would use the funds from sales tax from online sellers such as Amazon. And I did not know this before we met, but Amazon already requires 45 out of 50 of the states in the United States to pay sales tax, but we don't know that. So we would use those funds to cover that. And currently the top tax bracket is 6.9% for people who make over $35,099. And when you hear, lower taxes for the top bracket, you think, oh, these are wealthy millionaires, they have the money to pay for these taxes. Well, actually, the top bracket is not that high. These are average American citizens, and they can't always pay the high rate. This would provide incentives for business owners to move to Arkansas. There are 5 states who don't have an income tax. These are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. So this would provide incentive for people to move to Arkansas and open new businesses. This would also relieve the strain on small businesses. For instance, if you have 2 identical products, one is from a small business and one is from online. Since you don't have to pay sales tax for the one online, and you would for a local business, consumers are more likely to buy from the online seller, which helps consumers because they don't have to pay as much, but it hurts your small businesses. So by doing this, it would help your brick and mortar businesses, and it would level the playing field between online sellers and local sellers. So I urge you to vote yes for this bill.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Anyone like? Representative Gray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Taxes are a little tricky, I know, but it's my understanding of the explanation, and I've read the bill, that you would be simply taxing online, or taking away, adding the online tax to reduce the income tax. So she's saying it makes a difference for the average American citizen, but really you're just simply reallocating the funds. You're still paying, just not up front, so I don't understand why adding another loophole is necessary when you're still going to have to pay on income tax rather than simply online taxes. And it does make it easier for some consumers, because I know ordering online is very important for some people who might not be able to make it out of the house, or just simply busy Americans who that's necessary for. So I'm not sure why we would add online tax when you'd still pay it. And I personally would rather pay all of my money at one time than having extra cost every time I go to order online. Thank you. I would appreciate a no vote.
Representative Rushing, for what purpose?
I was going to ask a question, but
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Rushing, you're recognized.
I want to address the last comments that were made. With the online income tax, it's actually required currently, but no, you have to turn them in yourself. You have to file them with your tax returns, I think, something like that. Right, it's called self-report. And almost no one does that now because most people don't know that it exists. And there's no way for it to be tracked, so no one has to pay it unless they're audited by the state. So it's actually not increasing your taxes currently, it's just collecting on this audits. And so it's reallocating that money in a place where it can help us. So.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Speaks, you are recognized.
I am speaking against this bill because I believe if we are going to take tax from people who have more money, we should also we should reduce taxes in lower income tax brackets as well. So instead of just affecting the top income tax bracket, which I know is considered an average salary according to the person that read the bill of $35,000, something along those lines, and I think that we should also spread that out to lower income tax brackets as well, so we don't just affect the top bracket, but people who really need that money, whether it's $200 every 6 months or whatever it may be. I think people that live dollar to dollar would really appreciate us spreading it across multiple tax brackets instead of just the top one. So I urge you to vote no for this bill.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Sabin, for what purpose? Let's hear your motion.
Motion for immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1004. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. No. The nays have it. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Dalby, you're recognized.
This bill, This bill would help stores that are like closing. Like there's a bunch of like big stores. I know for sure in North Little Rock, Gander Mountain's closing because there's like a bunch of stores that are going online and they're doing online only, and that's losing jobs, especially for Arkansas. I know JCPenney's losing some too. And so when you have these like no sales tax on online, you lose these brick and mortar stores that lose jobs for people, and our unemployment rates are at like an all-time low right now. So we should keep it that way, and so I'd appreciate a good vote on this bill.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Collins, for what purpose?
Question.
Let's hear your question.
Okay, so like she said before, this bill is already required, like the tax for online is already required, but you have to do it yourself. Would this change it to where the company has to put the taxes together?
Would anyone like to speak for or against to answer the question?
Sponsor's not in the well, so you can't really ask that sponsor that question. She's not in the well. But you can come to the well and ask your question directly to her. She can, in closing, then address your question. Does that make sense? Okay. Did I explain that?
Which side of it?
Okay. I think my voice carries pretty well in here, but so she can say she's for the bill, even though she's really just wanting to ask a question. The sponsor is not in the well. She can't look at the sponsor and ask a question from there. The sponsor has to be in the well, okay? So she could come ask her question here in the well, all right? And she can look at her and say, hey, I don't really have a problem with this bill, but I need this question answered, and ask the question and walk out. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you don't have to speak for or against necessarily. You can come ask your question right here.
I thought she was my question.
So she can ask the question after she is recognized to speak for the bill. So you are recognized if you would like to say your question.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question, again, was someone mentioned that we already have to fill out tax forms and pay sales taxes for online purchases. But my question is, would that change it from us doing it to the companies doing it and make it easier on the consumers?
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Wing, you're recognized. Or for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1004. All in favor, say aye. Aye! All opposed, say no. No! The ayes have it. Prepare.
Do I see 5 hands?
Do I see 5 hands? Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1004. You're recognized.
Pretty please. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So she asked a really good question. So if you vote no, because this is on immediate consideration, if you vote no, then it fails and she gets to come answer her question. If you vote yes, you immediately turn around and vote on the bill again. So you're going to vote for immediate consideration and then vote on the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everybody voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk.
And say it failed.
By a vote of 52 yeas and 44 nays and 3 present. That's not proper in this particular vote. Would anyone like to speak for or against the bill? Against the bill.
Of a quorum. Of a quorum.
Oh, yeah, for immediate, saying some votes take 51. Immediate, that sound the ballot, it takes 2/3 vote.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Ladyman, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Limit debate to 2 minutes aside.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is to limit debate of House Bill 1004. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. We will limit debate to 2 minutes. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Watson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I really think that y'all should vote for this as a yes, because it's already a law. This is just gonna get the money that we are already required to give in taxes already, because it is already a law if y'all didn't know. So this is not changing anything. It's nothing being changed. Like, regardless, if you okay, let me take that back. Well, that is what I'm saying y'all should do. But if you're helping your local cities, because we're already enough going out of businesses, and then making an evil level ground will help our small local cities. It will keep small business from going out, and it will also help our towns from running out of businesses, all of that. This will help, and I really think y'all should vote for it.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Representative Rather, would you like to close for the bill?
Yes. I would like to address this question. Yes, it would give the companies permission to collect directly from them. So the answer to your question is yes. And another aspect of the bill, there is approximately $100 million that is currently not being collected. So just to give you guys a number of how much we could be limiting these taxes by, $100 million. And when you divide that out by everyone, I mean, that makes a lot. So I urge you to vote yes and pass this bill.
Representative Rather has closed for the bill. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1004. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everybody voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 66 yeas and 21 nays and 12 present, the bill is passed. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1005.
House Bill 1005 by Representative Derrick to dedicate the sales and use tax revenue generated from the sale of certain auto-related goods and services to the Arkansas State.
Representative Derrick, you are recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The state of Arkansas needs more funding for the Highway and Transportation Department. The passing of this bill would direct all taxes, including sales, maintenance, and repair taxes, to the tax and use tax, to the Highway and Transportation Department. Currently, the taxes collected from auto sales, services, and maintenance go towards other departments, such as health or education. And so the highways need funding somehow, and it is logical that the people who would use automobiles and roads should have their taxes go towards something that would benefit them, such as the highway system. This would be considered a user tax, which means that, like I said, the taxes from repairs, the maintenance, the sales taxes from automobiles would go towards the highway system. Are there any questions?
Representative Gray, for what purpose?
Question.
Let's hear your question.
So I'm from Northwest Arkansas, and just about anywhere you go, there's highway construction on both sides, everywhere, all the time. So in what ways do you think highway and transportation are underfunded?
I think that the funding is not in the proper place. I think that the funding that's going towards the highway system could go towards, the user tax in the other areas, and the user taxes for automobiles, the services and repairs on them would go towards the highway funding system. So it's more of where the funding is going to.
Representative Meeks, for what purpose?
Question.
Let's hear your question.
You said that you would take taxes that educational services use. What would they do? If you're taking the taxes that they're using for your purposes, what are they supposed to do?
Well, they would get funding from taxes in other areas, like medical department or education departments. But since automobile taxes, from the sale of your automobile, taxes on like tire changes, oil changes, all that stuff would go towards the funding for the highway system. And so that would, because the taxes from these things are going towards those other departments, and this bill would make it more of the user tax for that specific area.
Representative Fielding, for what purpose?
Question.
Let's hear your question.
So I come from a really small town, and you can basically get anywhere in under 5 minutes. So where would the buses have to drop them off of their house, or would they have to be at a designated area?
Is this regarding the transportation system?
Yes.
This bill wouldn't really consider, take that into consideration. And are you talking about buses, where they would pick up kids?
No, I'm saying that, for the people who live in towns, I'm saying, would they be dropped off near their homes, or would they be dropped off at other places and have to take another bus just to get home?
We would look at that more if this bill was passed. Yeah, so we figured out that later.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Douglas, you're recognized.
Hi, as much as I don't like driving on bumpy roads, I don't think that we should be taking highway funding, because highway funding is already separately funded. In this bill, we would be taking revenue out from general revenue, which goes towards education, healthcare, all those things. So we'd be taking out that, and then we would be putting it towards the highway, which is already funded. And so how are we going to replace that gap that would be put into the income, which is at the general, how do we replace that deficit that we would be creating by passing this? Thank you.
Representative McGill, for what purpose? Let's hear your motion.
Motion to recess for lunch.
We're going to finish this bill, then we'll break for lunch.
We're not going to take that motion at this time. We're going to finish the bill and then break for lunch. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Gates, you are recognized.
I have a few points that I would like to address. First of all, like Representative Durack said, this is a user bill. So we have a few low-income families who don't use vehicles for transportation. In my city, we have people who live in the city limits and walk to school every day. They walk to work. This is things that they don't need to be funding with their tax money, with the money that they earn that doesn't apply to them. Okay, so the money that the automobile users are using, the repairs, the maintenance, like tires, transmission repairs, a cracked windshield wiper blades, this money is going towards repairing the roads that these users are tearing up. Okay, I also would like to focus on the fact that we had somebody speak up from Northwest Arkansas. Well, I'm from a very rural town, and we have a lot of really, really messed up roads. And all this money is going towards working on the interstates and the highways in these more densely populated areas. Well, this bill would help us to get our roads fixed in our more rural areas, which is what most of Arkansas consists of. Thank you.
We're going to recess for lunch. We need to be back at 11:30. The House stands recessed.
Meet behind the Capitol and grab your lunch. You go down the stairs to the main floor and go out the back door. And yes, put your visors back on and be sure and be back in here at 11:30. We'll continue with this bill and with the Senate bills. Settled and had a quick lunch. I see Representative Jeff Wardlaw has come in, and someone yesterday, who told me yesterday that he was their representative? So someone. Oh, right. She actually said nice things about you. No, Jeff's great. Jeff is chair of public health, so he does a great job. All right, everybody's settled, and I think y'all understand the process now. We're going to finish the bill that we started before the recess, and then we'll also hopefully have an opportunity to run a few Senate bills. We need to be finished between 1:30 and 1:45, so we'll kind of see where we are in that bill process. Okay, who had the last bill before recess? Were we running the highway bill? Yes, about the diverting the sales tax from certain revenues to the highway department. Okay, do you want to, is it appropriate that she does a little review of what the bill is, or we just have to proceed with for and against? Okay, all right, so where were we? I guess I'll let them bring us back into session, and then we'll proceed.
The House has come to order. Before we went to recess, we were working on House Bill 1005. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Jett, for what purpose?
To speak against the bill.
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Many of you may not know, but the Highway Department is independent from the revenue, so there will be no way of knowing if the money that be given to them, if this bill will be passed, will be used for the right purposes. So for that reason, you should say no to this bill.
She spoke against the bill. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Mayberry, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
I move for immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1005. All in favor, say yay. All that oppose, say no. All right. Yeah, the ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1005. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballots, Madam Clerk. We have 40 yeas and 46 nays, 10 present, and so the House Bill 1005 has failed. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1006.
House Bill 1006 by Representative Jackson to require cardiopulmonary resuscitation certification for the issuance of a Class A commercial driver's license.
Representative Bounds, you are recognized to explain the bill.
Hello, everyone. So it's common knowledge that lifeguards and other professionals who work with people have a CPR license or CPR certification. It should be the same for school bus drivers who drive kids. They need a CPR certification. Just a little talk, it's only $5 to take your CPR class. Most of it you can learn online. Very simple, very easy, and it's once every 2 years. So it'd be it's really simple for somebody to pay and get this, and it could be an important way to save lives out on the road in school buses or in truck drivers, and more people who know CPR, the better.
Armstrong, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
For school buses or school bus drivers, will the school be required to pay for their classes, or will they have to pay for it?
Lifeguards, like I said, pay for their own. So if it was any more expensive, I'd say that we would come up with a method. But since it's only $5, once every 2 years, I think it's pretty simple for the person to pay it themselves, or have, somebody can give $5.
Representative Jett, for what purpose? You are recognized.
Since it's more directed towards students in school, why not have teachers do it as well?
This bill is not for teachers. This is for CDL licensed professionals. That would be a separate bill.
Oh, can I have a follow-up?
Yes.
You are recognized.
Okay, so why is it directed only towards school bus drivers?
This is CDL license is pretty easy to distinguish compared to like a typical teacher's license. Now in the future, if you want to come up with a bill for a teacher's license, that would be a great addition, or another bill.
Representative Mayberry, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
I know that many schools struggle already with getting bus drivers to drive their buses. So how would this affect schools in attaining new bus drivers?
I think it would actually benefit, because there's a certain sort of dignity that comes along with being known that you're CPR certified. And since people know these professionals are certified, they get, I would think, more respect, because it's a better way to do school bus driving.
Representative Bounds has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Bragg, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I feel like this bill should not be passed because, yes, there is a certain dignity of knowing that you have a CPR license even as a bus driver, but there are also teachers that don't have CPR license, and so like if the student's in the classroom and they pass out, this is just specifically for CDL drivers. So what are we supposed to do about students that don't use the bus for transportation or are just like in the classroom stuck?
Representative Lemons, for what purpose?
I had a question for you.
Never mind.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Nix, for what purpose?
A motion to amend the bill.
We cannot accept that motion at this time.
To amend the bill?
Representative Boyd, for what purpose?
Speak for the bill.
All right, you are recognized.
To address the previous comment made that teachers should also have their license, I think that would be a completely separate bill. This bill only focuses on drivers for a reason, because drivers need to have the capabilities in case there is an emergency on their vehicle. So there could definitely be another bill that requires the teachers, and I mean, everyone should probably be licensed, but the teachers is a separate issue. This bill is focusing on a certain issue that needs to be solved.
Okay, evidently you all are wanting to see how an amendment is done. Betty Johnson's a parliamentarian. He's going to explain. You can do that on the floor, but it's unusual. Usually amendments would be added in committee, and they typically are added by the person who's sponsoring the bill. To add an amendment, if you are not the sponsor of the bill, would be considered a hostile amendment, which would not be welcome, and it's kind of rude and not very often done. But you can add a hostile amendment, but I'm going to let Mr. Johnson explain how that would be done from the House floor. I've only seen it done once or twice since I've been elected, but it's done in committee a lot. People, they realize their bill's having problems. You go to them and say, I can vote for this. If you amend it, then they have BLR write up an amendment, and actually the sponsor amends the bill.
Thank you, Representative Ferguson. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The process of amending bills is a pretty common process in the Arkansas General Assembly. Once a member files a bill, it becomes the property of the House of Representatives. The only way that bill can be changed from that point on is for the House of Representatives to change it, and that's done through an amendment. Usually, as Representative Ferguson said, an amendment is done by the sponsor of the bill. In other words, they have a bill, they think it needs to be changed in a certain way, and then they're afforded the opportunity to do it. On occasion, the bill is amended on the floor, but to do that, it's done in one or two ways. It can be put on the amendment calendar, where it comes up just like you've been doing the bills, would be on a calendar. Just about everything you do on the House floor is on the calendar, so everybody knows what's coming up. We don't like a lot of surprises up here, so that's one you can do it amended on the calendar, and it's up to the House to adopt that amendment. Another way to do it is if a bill is on the calendar for final passage, which is what we're doing with the bills here today, when it comes up, someone can make a motion to put the bill on second reading for amendment. And that's a debatable motion, and it takes a majority of a quorum to pass. So in other words, if 90 members voted on it, it would take 46 votes to put it on second reading. Once you put it on second reading, the amendment is presented and debated and then voted on. And it takes 51 votes in the House of Representatives to adopt an amendment. Back to the original point, when the request was made to amend one of the bills here today, we didn't accept that because there are several issues involved. One, the rules, as all of the bills you're looking at are on paper in a very specific format. All amendments have to be on paper, so everybody knows exactly what they're voting on. We don't allow voice or oral amendments to the bill. So you couldn't just stand up and say, I move we amend the bill to add a certain word here and there. We don't do that. That's against the rules. So that's why we don't generally do amendments during Boy State and Girl State. Where might I find the calendar? When the real House of Representatives is meeting, the calendar is placed on your desk, is placed on the desk of every member the day before the session. So that calendar would have been put on the desk the day before. It's also online. If on the General Assembly website, all the calendars are online. That's real important because a premium is placed on the public knowing what's going on up here. And that's why the calendar has to be published the day before action is taken on it, so everybody will know what's coming up. So the public will know, and if the public wants to be involved, it will have the opportunity.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you're not having the advantage of having met in committees here. Usually, most of these issues would have been vetted in committee, so it's kind of the committee's job to vet these bills and not send stuff to the full body that's going to have trouble passing. I mean, 90% of the bills we vote on, they're yes, up and down, and they're no problem. Probably 10% are controversial. And if you realize you ran a bill and it failed because needed to be amended in some way, then the member can ask for it to be sent back to committee and reconsidered. So to amend something from the House would be unusual. Sorry, go ahead.
McNair, for what purpose?
I would like to speak for the bill.
You are recognized.
This bill says that they would like bus drivers to be CPR certified, and at my school and at some other schools that I know, some of the bus drivers are teachers, and so some teachers actually would be CPR certified because of this bill, because the bus drivers would also be teachers. And if there was a bus crash for any purposes, or a kid were to faint or anything like that on the bus, and they wouldn't have to wait for an ambulance or for the bus to keep going to get them to the hospital, the bus driver could do CPR right then. So it would be immediate, and it would be better for the student that were out.
Representative Balling, you are recognized.
Thank you. Colleagues, I would just like to direct your attention to the fact that this is specifying for only Class A commercial driver's licenses. In reality, Class A commercial driver's licenses are only given to tractor-trailer drivers, truck drivers, tanker vehicles, livestock carriers, and flatbeds. Class B commercial driver's licenses are the driver's license that school bus drivers, city bus drivers, tourist bus drivers, and dump trucks and delivery drivers carry. So this actual bill would not be impacting school bus drivers whatsoever. Thank you.
Representative Birch, for what purpose? Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative McGill, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So as the co-sponsor of this bill, I would urge you to vote yay for this, because there's many people who drive these Class A CDL vehicles, and many times they can come across wreck scenes where someone could need CPR and it could save their life. So this is not affecting only the driver, it's affecting the people that they come across in their daily routes. And this could save so many lives. And it's all about the public transportation system, and that affects every single one of us in this building. Thank you.
Representative Watson, for what purpose? Right. You are recognized.
For immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1006. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1006. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. We have 49 yeas and 41 nays and 5 present, so House Bill 1006 has failed. Representative Richmond, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Motion to reconsider House Bill 1005.
Representative Richmond, how did you vote?
Nay.
That is a proper motion, and it is debatable. Representative Richmond, you are recognized to explain your motion.
Okay, I would like to reconsider House Bill 1005. Why? Because we did just come from a recess. We were just trying to get the bill, just give it an answer and get it out the way, so I would like to reconsider this bill.
Okay, we just had a very good question a moment ago. Someone had asked, why did that bill fail? Because it had more votes for it than it had votes against it. There were 49 who had voted for it and 40 some odd who voted against it. In order for the bill to pass, it requires a majority of the entire House of Representatives, whether someone is here or not, or whether they're voting present or whatever. So you have to have 51 votes. So if 49 people are absent and you've only got 51 people present in the House of Representatives, you have to have all 51 of those votes for a bill to pass. So that's why it didn't pass, even though more people had voted for it than against it.
Well, and they had a good point. A lot of times if you really are adamantly opposed to a bill and you don't want it to be brought back up and you don't want to hear it again, and it's a very close vote like that, if it failed with 49 votes, you can ask for the clincher, and that means if we vote to clinch the vote with the majority, then it can't be brought back up. And so, you know, if you're sick of hearing it and you're adamantly opposed, then you can clinch the vote and not hear it again.
Going back to our motion to reconsider, would anyone like to speak against the motion? Representative Brown, you are recognized. Representative Jett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As one of my fellow representatives just said, this bill does not even qualify for school buses because they are not in the Class A category. So this bill...
This is reconsideration of the highway tax.
Oh, never mind.
Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Representative Flowers, you are recognized.
I really appreciate this chance, and I encourage you guys to vote for the bill to be reconsidered because, once again, we did just get back from lunch. I feel like people forgot about what the bill was about. And I think that also this bill would regard the highway funding system to help fix roads that are already in place, like roads that are already built. Like it wouldn't be just building new roads and building new highways. Highways that are already built would be helping to reconstruct those and all everything. So I highly encourage you to reconsider, to vote for this, and to pass this bill. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to mention, when you're reconsidering a bill, if you want to speak against, you have to speak now, because once you vote to reconsider it, you go immediately to the vote. So you won't have a chance to debate the bill again. So if you want to speak for or against reconsideration, you should do it at the time of the motion to reconsider.
Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Representative Gray, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First off, this is more of a question to think about. I'm not completely against it because I do like the idea of a user tax. However, I just think the bill is underestimating how much of our tax revenue comes from automobiles and automobile services. So I just wonder where the excess would go, and if it would just go into buying and spending money on new roads that aren't truly necessary, or if there would be money left over for education, because I just think that if we overestimate the tax revenue, we end up putting the money in the wrong places. Thank you.
One other quick note too, when there's a motion to reconsider and you're speaking for or against the motion, you have to keep, someone could potentially stand up and say that they're not speaking to the motion, but they're speaking to the bill itself. And you're not allowed to debate the bill down here at this point. You're just debating the motion on whether or not to reconsider it. So if you think that they've strayed off course on speaking to the motion, you could stand up and ask for a point of order and clarify that.
All right, at this time, we will be moving to the senator calendar, and we will be addressing. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? All right. Representative Watson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just like to say again that I think y'all should consider voting a yes for this, because it's not really here to make new roads. It's just to fix things that already need to be fixed. Like, if you fix roads that need to be fixed, you won't have to keep on fixing your cars. You know, bad roads will keep your cars bad, and you have to keep spending money to get the cars fixed. So vote yes.
Mayberry, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
I'd like to limit the conversation to 2 more minutes.
That's the proper motion. That is not debatable. And the question before the House is to limit the debate to 2 minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Oh, would anyone like to speak for the motion? Representative Nix, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to speak in affirmation for the motion because the bill has some useful techniques that would be beneficial to our society. And it would be useful because if you don't use the roads, then you don't have to pay for the roads. And if you use automotive
mobiles, then you can have a tax on that and it would go towards the roads. I think we're underestimating how much roads actually cost and fixing potholes. Do I continue or do I stop?
Representative Jett, for what purpose?
A point of order. She's speaking she's speaking on the bill and not for,
Your time
for the
is
motion.
up.
Do I go back to my seat now? Or do I have to stay?
Now, would anyone like to speak against the motion? Again, would anyone like to speak against the motion to reconsider House Bill 1005? The question before the House is to reconsider the passage of House Bill 1005. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, you're separate. Okay. That's okay.
By a vote of 17 yeas and 79 nays and 2 present, the motion fails. Now let's move to the Senate bills. If we have time at the end, we can move back to House bills.
Okay. Buddy was the House sponsor. Did you talk about that before?
We have a House sponsor for this bill?
We need a House sponsor.
Oh, we don't have it.
Well, we need.
Okay, let me read the name of the bill.
You can do the first 4.
Okay, girls, this is, these are, the Senate passed these bills and then they send them to us. What typically would happen, they would ask someone in the House to be the House sponsor. And unfortunately, we don't have that. But this happens sometimes. They send bills to us with no sponsor, and then they'll they'll just say, these are the bills. Would someone take these bills? So that's what I'm going to read the name of the bills, and I'm going to need some very brave people who have not read the bills to agree to be the House sponsor and speak for them. The first Senate bill is an act concerning restroom accessibility in public schools. Who's willing to come? Little girl on the strike. What? Yeah. You okay? Can you have an extra copy of this?
Yep. You can have that.
Okay. Come take this. The next is an act to revise public school sex ed. Who's willing to do that? Come here. Oh well, she's I already told her. The next. Huh? Oh, okay. An act to promote and. Yeah, if you've sponsored a House bill, don't take it. An act to promote and regulate the testing on vehicles with autonomous technology. The red, come here. An act to increase the state sales tax for construction and operation of youth centers. Okay, those are the first 4 Senate bills that they've transferred. Oh, we just got a 5th one. Well, come on. An act to create the mental health outreach program. Okay. So read them very quickly, and then you'll need to present them and just like we did the House bills. Once the bill passes the House and the Senate, then it's transferred to the governor's office to sign. And he has 5 days. If it sits there 5 days, it goes on through without a signature. But he can sign it or he can veto it. And then if it gets vetoed, it comes back to the House and the Senate to override the veto with a majority vote. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Senate bill would have, we're bypassing the committee process. The Senate bill, this would typically have gone to the House committee, passed the House committee, and then come to the full floor. Same thing with House bills. They would go House, pass the House, then go to the Senate committee, then the full Senate. Okay, are you ready to present the first one? Okay.
Madam Clerk, please read Senate Bill number 1.
Senate Bill number 1 by Senator Coucher concerning restroom accessibility in public schools.
You are recognized to speak for the bill.
Okay. I think that the general or gender neutral restrooms is a good idea for public schools because right now in America it's pretty common to see somebody walking down the street that was born a man that's dressed as a woman, and I think a lot of people would vote to have a restroom specifically for like a family restroom rather than somebody that maybe wasn't born that gender to go in the bathroom. So like maybe 5-year-old girls wouldn't be going in the same restroom as like a 50-year-old man dressed as a woman. And in the thing it says only one restroom per 100 students that attend the school. So it's not like it would be like this, 20 stalls every floor like every normal schools have. And then it also says that it gives them 5 years to build the restroom, so they can raise enough money for that as well. If they don't already have one. So I think you should vote for this bill.
She has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Murdoch, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't necessarily think this is a bad idea. The only thing I would like you to consider is the bullying rates. What would other kids think when they see this? I want to ask you to think about all the kids that get bullied every day. And just because they're gender neutral doesn't mean we should judge, but think about kids who do. That's all I would like to say in consideration. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Collins, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to speak for this bill for many different reasons, one of them being if a man dressed up as a woman walked into the ladies' restroom because he identified as a woman, I would personally hit him with my purse or something. I would not be happy with that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other American females feel the same way, and a lot of other American males feel the same way about a woman dressed up as a man going into their bathroom and seeing them. So I think that gender neutral bathrooms would be a good idea. And I think that they should be a really good idea for schools, especially because teens do not need to see the teen of the identified gender in the bathroom, and that would increase the violence rates most likely, because I feel like it would be the same way for the males. So a gender neutral bathroom would solve that problem, and I feel like that it would give the transgender kids also a place in this society so that they could feel more accepted. Thank you.
Representative Collins has spoken for the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Nix, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to negate the bill because I don't think that it would be. I think in public schools, they have a responsibility to keep all kids safe. And when you put in the situation that there could be a restroom available to both males and females, whatever gender that they could identify with, they could really get around with rules that are in place and go in together. Or, you know, how are we supposed to regulate this bathroom when we're not allowed to have cameras in restrooms or in classrooms? And how are we supposed to keep it appropriate? And then when other students are seeing other children go into these bathrooms, what are they thinking, and what are going to be the consequences? And then there is no funding aside, so that will be taking funding from other education programs that could be needed, or like the backpack program. So what are we taking away from to provide these neutral restrooms? Thank you.
Representative Boyd, for what purpose?
To address the comment made. Do you want to take a question?
Right. To speak for the bill, right? You are recognized.
To address the comment previously made, if we can't really control what people are doing in the regular restrooms because there aren't cameras in there, then why take away from people who identify as a different gender going into their own restroom? Like, your argument was that we can't control what they're doing in there. They might be abusing school rules, but people are most likely going to do that regardless in whatever bathroom they're in. So I think you should vote for the bill.
Representative Smith, you are recognized.
I would like to speak against the bill.
You are recognized.
Okay. So Representative Collins spoke of how a gender-neutral bathroom would promote inclusivity, but I don't understand how that would work if you're forcing a group that just wants to go to the bathroom to go to a completely separate bathroom because someone might feel uncomfortable with their presence. I don't understand how making them go to a separate bathroom would promote inclusivity at all. So.
Representative Lemons, you are recognized.
Okay, I would just like to start off by saying that a lot of transgender people do not feel safe in the bathroom of the gender that they identify with because a lot of people don't want them there. They don't feel safe. Now, this gender-neutral restroom isn't necessarily forcing them to go to that gender-neutral restroom. It's just a place for them to go if they don't feel comfortable going to the restroom which they identify with. Because a lot of time, they can face violence. They're just not comfortable with it because transgender kids are often bullied in schools. So they don't feel safe in their environment. Thank you. Yes.
Right. Representative Sabin, you are recognized.
So do you think a exclusive gender equal bathroom would be safer or would promote less bullying? Because for somebody who wants to be seen as equal, a separate treatment kind of seems hypocritical.
Well, they don't necessarily have to use this restroom. It's just if they don't feel comfortable being in the other one. It's their choice
to go to this one. They don't have to use it. It's just a facility that can provide a safe place for them.
Representative Baltz, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to speak against this bill because in the state of Arkansas, it is required that counseling offices and nursing offices in public schools have single-stall restrooms. So I feel like if we pass this bill, it would be a waste of money to create those additional restrooms when we already have them in the state.
Representative Ritchie, for what purpose?
Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of Senate Bill number 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Let's try again without the screaming. All in favor say aye. Aye. Do I see 5 hands? The question before the House is immediate consideration of Senate Bill number 1. All in favor, prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. The motion has failed with 36 yeas and 58 nays. Representative Sabin, for what purpose? Let's hear your motion. All right. The question before the House is immediate consideration to limit the debate to 5 minutes. To 5 minutes on side. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The noes have it. All right. Do I see 5 hands for a roll call? I heard a roll call. The question before the House is a 5-minute debate on the side.
Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk.
Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. All right, with 80 yeas and 17 nays, the motion is passed. All right. All right, Armstrong, you are recognized.
I would like to point out lines 35 through second on the second page. This is not just for gender-neutral bathroom, but for people with disabilities, like wheelchair-accessible bathrooms. And all I've heard is all you guys talk about is gender, when you should be carrying on with not only that part of it, but some of these people have trouble.
Representative Wing, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
What would the disability people have to do with the transgender bathroom when they're already going to the regular bathrooms? What does that have to do with them?
Down at the bottom of the first page, it tells you that it makes the bathrooms more accessible to them. It makes them they'll have bigger halls in them and bigger doors. That way they don't have to use only the one area on the last end like every other bathroom has. It gives them a fair way. That way they don't have to wait in line.
Okay. Representative Deffenbaugh, for what purpose?
Schools are already required to have a disabled bathroom, so what would be
For what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
Right, well, schools are already, have to have disabled bathrooms, so I feel like that line is very unnecessary when... Oh, I'm so confused. Oh, so what is the point of having that line in here when schools already have handicap-accessible bathrooms?
They have one in each one of the restrooms, period, that are big enough for wheelchairs to be able to get in, and for people with walkers and stuff like that. So it's unfair to them to have to wait in line while everybody else is going in and just getting out fast. Yeah, can I do that?
All right, Representative Branscombe, you are recognized to speak against the bill.
Thank you. I would like to speak against this bill. Ladies, I know the weight and the controversy of this bill, but I would like you to consider the structural components of building these bathrooms. Bathrooms require plumbing and electricity and so many other elements that are so expensive. And we already have so many underfunded schools in rural areas in Arkansas that these schools still need things like textbooks and more money for teachers. And to punish a school for not being able to enable these bathrooms in 5 years, I feel is unjust. And I would also like you to look at line 25, per 100 students enrolled in public schools. This means that this would apply to elementary schools as well.
All right. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Warren, you are recognized. For what purpose?
To speak for.
All right, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to bring to your attention that transgender and gender neutral are two different things. I would also like to bring to your attention that just because building these bathrooms per 100 students, that would actually kind of work out, because think about our school sizes. Some of us range all the way from 100 students, maybe less, to all the way up to 800, which in all actuality, if you have 1 per 100, most of our schools are either small due to how many population of students we have, or it's large due to how many we have. So building a bathroom might not be logically as far as financially goes, but I would like to mention the Gifted and Talented program that was brought up earlier. Of course, funds do have to be put out somewhere, regardless if it's from academics or if it is from athletics. My point I would like to give to you is the basic fact that it is our responsibility as upcoming Arkansans that we make sure our students are comfortable, because when you're not comfortable, you cannot learn in a school zone. Thank you.
All right, would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Miller, you are recognized.
I would just like to say that as a disabled person, that the restrooms being accessible in the transgender bathrooms, it wouldn't be faster, because I, from personal experience, know that it's just as faster for everybody else in normal bathrooms, and that making it accessible in transgender, it's not going to change anything. So that shouldn't even be a factor in here at all.
Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Penzo, for what purpose?
I would like to speak for the bill.
You are recognized.
I believe that this bill overall is an incredibly progressive bill. However, I do believe that this bill is a step in the right direction for equality for gender neutral and transgender people. Recently, earlier, Representative Ferguson mentioned how they put women's restrooms within the House and how that was a large step when she got elected. And I think that it is necessary for the public schools here to take that step and to represent that and to be a light for the nation. I think that we have to be the goals. Secondly, someone mentioned bullying earlier, and I think that before we address bullying, we have to address equality. And we have to address that we have to represent these people, and that it is our job to speak for those who do not have a voice here in Arkansas currently. So, that is what I have to say. Any questions?
Representative Jett, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
Do you not feel that the separation, like a new bathroom for them, would allow for more discrimination?
Again, I think we have to address equality first. I think...
You're out of time. Time has expired. All right, we still have time for the against. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? All right, Representative DeFoe, you're recognized.
In the bill where it says that we have to have one bathroom for every 100 kids, well, I go to a school with 120 kids, so that would mean I would have to have a bathroom. And I can tell you that it's unneeded in my rural town. We don't have that there, and it's just not necessary, and it's already underfunded, so why spend our money there?
Representative Bollinger, for what purpose?
Point of order. You limited the debate to 5 minutes, not 5 per each side, and we have reached that time limit. Or 5 minute, excuse me.
It was 5 minutes on each side.
That's not what you said, or that's not what we voted for, though.
Chair rules that it was 5 minutes on each side, and the against side still has about 2 minutes left. All right, Representative Rushing, for what purpose? You are recognized.
Who do you think, okay, that sounds offensive. Who are you to say that that's unneeded in your town? Do you know the hearts of each person, and do you know how they feel about their gender identity? Have you asked each one specifically in your school?
I've gone to the same school with these kids since kindergarten. We can see who goes, we know who these kids are. I live in a town with 120 kids in my class.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? All right, Representative Lynch, for what purpose? You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just think, all personal feelings aside, that most schools will not have the money to pay for this. Thank you.
Right. What's her name? Representative Smith, you are recognized.
I would like to make a motion. Can I?
All right. Let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
All right. That is a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of Senate Bill number 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The question for the House is passage of Senate Bill number 1. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. Okay. With 28 yeas and 66 nays, Senate Bill number 1 has failed. Madam Clerk, please read Senate Bill number 2.
Senate Bill number 2, Senator Young, to revise public school sex education curriculum.
Would the representative for Senate Bill number 2 please explain the bill?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to start off by saying last year, my school hosted a big, I don't know what you call it, a program, I guess, where we invited several of our city's finest ladies to come and talk to us about sex education, about staying abstinent, which was some of their methods, or just how to have safe sex. But at this point, I felt like it was too late. We already had about 3 or 4 girls that were pregnant in my class, as well as several in the other grades. It was a little too late by that point. So if you look at this bill in front of you, you will see that it is clearly stated that they would like grades 7th and 8th to have good sex education. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. Kids need to learn this at a young age, especially nowadays, because you've got young girls looking up, I'm sure you've seen the post on Instagram. They're trying to be older. They're trying to look older and do older things. So they're getting ahead of themselves before they actually know the consequences of some of the things that they're doing. So if we had a good, well-developed sex education for everyone, I think it could save a lot of students' lives, as well as preventing any, I don't want to say it's unfortunate. Life is not unfortunate. But the timing, you know what I mean? So I think this would be a fantastic bill. Thank you.
All right. Representative Tucker has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Rye, you are recognized.
Okay. So she said that it would be unfortunate and that we're trying to save the lives of the young women that became pregnant. No one's dying, so there's really nobody to save. When you become pregnant, your life does not end. There's still a lot of possibility. Yes, it may become harder, but just because you become pregnant does not mean that your life is over. My mom was pregnant in high school, and here I am. She still became a nurse, and she still works at the hospital, and she still provides for her family. Just because a girl becomes pregnant does not mean her life is ending. Also, I think that in grades 7 and 8 is still probably too young for kids, because if you start educating them on sex, then they might become more introduced to it than they would have before the talk, therefore making them more likely to have sex, and less because they know what they're doing, because I sure didn't know what I was doing in 7th grade. So I think that it would be more, I think it would provide them with education, yes, but I think that it would also provide them with, make them more likely to have sex at a younger age.
Representative Allen, for what purpose?
Great. Oh.
Representative Wortlaw, for what purpose?
A question.
You are recognized.
You say that she was speaking only to pregnancy in the matter of saving lives, but what about sexually transmitted diseases?
Okay, yes, I could see how that would be a good thing to talk about, but like I said, in the 7th and 8th grade, who's getting pregnant, who's getting STDs, who is receiving that in 7th and 8th grade? I don't see that many pregnant girls that are in 7th and 8th grade. And 9th grade, 10th grade, yes, I see it. High school, I can understand. I am only saying that the bill, I think, is 7th and 8th grade is too young. I think it should be in 9th grade, and it should be provided in health class.
Representative Richmond, for what purpose?
Question. Do I just go up to the well and just propose a question, or just ask here?
Well, would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Allen.
I still ask my.
Since she left the well. Representative Allen, you are recognized.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm for this bill because there are a lot of 7th and 8th graders out here that are wanting to experience these things, but they don't know what's the repercussions to it. Just because at your school they're not pregnant, they're pregnant everywhere else. You haven't been to every single school that kids are doing this. When I was in 6th grade, there was an 8th grader that was pregnant at my school. That means they're trying and stuff. There's a lot of diseases and stuff they need to know about. And a lot of people are just suffering from this, and they need to know at a young, early age that this goes on almost every other school, and you need to learn very, very soon before you get yourself into something you do not want to be in.
Would anyone like to speak for, is it for or against? Against the bill? All right, well, no one's speaking against it, so no one wants to speak against it, so we go back to 4. All right. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Richmond, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, I am absolutely for this bill. I'm not even gonna lie. I was pregnant in the 8th grade. I do have a child now. You see where I am now. I'm standing in front of you guys at Girls State. So I also do understand you need to teach girls in 7th and 8th grade. At my school, we were in home ec. We learned about it. It wasn't a separate class, but we were taught about sex ed. We were taught about to stay protected when you have sex. I'm not saying that it was something that just was out there for me, but it happened. But I think that 7th and 8th grade girls should be teaching at that young of an age. No matter what people think, you can get judged about it. You can say that they're not going to make it. It's not going to ruin nobody's life. It's all about what you make it and how you perceive, how the help that you have from the fellow peers of your school and your family. So vote for this bill.
Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Right. Well, Representative Gazaway, for what purpose? All right, let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
All right. That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of Senate Bill number 2. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Prepare them. All right. The question before the House is passage of Senate Bill number 2. And prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? All right. Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. All right. With 94 yeas and 4 nays, Senate Bill number 2 has passed. At this time, we'll be going back to the House bills, and we will be starting with House Bill 1007. All right. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1007.
House Bill 1007, Representative Farmer, to ensure safer environments for public schools by creating investigation teams.
Representative Farmer, you are recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you. This bill is to ensure safety environments for public schools by creating investigation teams. Each school district shall adopt at a minimum on policy to ensuring zero tolerance in public schools for possession of illegal drugs or weapons or both. And using this section, weapons includes limitation, a handgun, knife, taser, razor blades, and pepper spray. A violation of this policy shall be immediately investigated by an investigation team. And many ask that, what if someone slipped drugs in your bag and you didn't have anything to do with it? You're not going to be immediately suspended, but there will be an investigation for further things. Is there any questions?
Representative Mayberry, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
Are programs like this not already in place?
In some schools, they are already in place, but some schools don't take it further. Also, in this bill, we were doing random checks for the officers for no less than 3 times each 9 weeks or semester. But at some schools, they don't. Like at my school, we don't even get drug tested or anything, probably like once a year. And we were trying to take this further and do pop-ups like every other semester or 9 weeks.
Representative Hendren, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
What would be the repercussions of people that did bring weapons to school? Like, I know today in place is like they go to programs and they come back later, but would that change? Or what would happen?
If this bill is passed, it would go to further as in first offense, second offense, third offense. Like if you're caught with drugs, first offense, you could possibly go to rehab, but second offense, you get suspended, third offense, expelled. I guess we'll go through the repercussions of what happens each offense.
Representative Fielding, for what purpose? You are recognized.
So, I know you're going to have investigation teams, but what about metal detectors? Wouldn't they be a part of making sure that it doesn't even be on campus? Make sure that just stop it in the first place. Why don't you have metal detectors or something like that? Pat downs.
Okay, well, at some schools, there's over like 1,000 kids, so how are you going to metal detect each kid that comes into school? And also, there are multiple entrances in every school. And also, someone did ask this before, and the response was, this is not a prison, this is school.
Representative Shepherd, for what purpose? You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. How would you remove bias from certain members of the school? Like I know at certain schools they prioritize athletes over other people, certain small schools. So how would you remove bias, like if the quarterback of the football team was caught with drugs in his backpack?
I think fair punishment. That's where fair punishment should come in, that he should immediately be removed. But if this bill is passed, we will look further into athletes and stuff like that.
Representative De La Rosa, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
When you were addressing a question earlier, you said that there would be repercussions for the offenses, and you said a second offense would be suspension. So do you think the punishment for bringing a weapon to school 2 times should be suspension? Because I think it should be jail.
Well, maybe for the drug offense, I don't know if I restated in my question earlier that was for like a drug offense. But in most schools, if you bring a weapon, you're automatically expelled and arrested on campus. So if you bring a weapon to school, that should be automatic expulsion. But drug offenses, I guess we can go about like rehab and then seeing what we can help you do instead of just, because like I said again, that I've seen shows where people have set up other people, like I slipped drugs in your bag and a drug test comes, but you don't do these things, so we're going to investigate it. Yes.
Representative Douglas, for what purpose?
Question.
You are recognized.
On line 30, it mentions the different weapons. In the first one, it says is handgun. What about rifles?
Can you repeat that, please?
Line 30, it mentions the weapons, and first one, it says is handguns, but what about rifles?
Handguns, well, I guess if this bill does pass, we can go further into rewriting this bill and add all kinds of, weapons, and which should be every weapon, handguns included, and rifles.
Representative Farmer has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Representative Sabin, you are recognized.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood, but students can't search other students. So this would have to be like police or somebody of that nature. A question for closing, if we get to that point, where's the money going to come from? We're paying police officers to search each individual student. That's going to take a lot of time and effort to go through, and that equals a lot of money. I vote for no on this bill unless that can be answered.
All right. Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Farrer, You are recognized. I would like to speak for the bill because at my school we've had searches. Actually, things have happened on campus to where they've heard of someone bringing a weapon, and we didn't have to call in police officers, but it would be faculty members. So I don't think funding would be a problem. Our faculty members have simply set up they had tables when we enter the door or whatever, and they've taken each of us individually, they searched our backpacks. So it's more of a time thing, the time to put in. I don't think funding would be a problem. I think it could be done in every school without a problem. So I vote for this bill. All right. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Payton, you are recognized.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Something I would like to address: in 2002, over 2,000 national teen deaths were from drugs. And now in 2015, where this was recorded, over 30,000 lives are lost, teen lives are lost from that. Also in 2013, there have been over 200 school shootings in America since 2013. That is nearly one a week. I feel like the least of our worries should be money. Our worries should be lives and teen students who have bright futures. In my school, it's about 1,000 people that go to our school. We have mainly one resource officer, and then a second one that is there partially of the time, who goes to the middle schools and the elementary schools more so. That is not enough. And whoever, I can't remember who specifically it was, said that the investigation, I think that it was you, said that investigations can't be done by other students. If you also look on the second page, on line 3, it says that the investigation team itself includes a resource officer. So that would all be taken care of. I think that the most important thing here is we should be thinking about the bright futures of us. We should be thinking about people like us and people who aren't like us, because every teen deserves to live and they deserve to feel safe in their learning environments. Yes, question.
Representative Wing, for what purpose?
Motion.
What is your motion?
Immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1007. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1007. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. All right. Has everyone voted?
Go ahead.
Cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. All right. With 91 yeas, 5 nays, House Bill 1007 has passed.
We're going to continue to run bills, but I just questions that all of us are getting. I thought we'd take a little break and kind of talk about process a little bit. You do get very vested in your opinion and in some of these bills when you're running them, and they become very emotional and you become very attached to them, and you think you know exactly this is how it should be done, but you're also going to have a good number of members who think absolutely that is the wrong thing to do. The sex ed bill is a good example. You know, a couple of sessions ago, I passed a bill that required sex education and contraceptives and abstinence and all of those things in community colleges. And the reason we addressed that first, is because when we looked at the statistics, 3/4 of the unplanned teen pregnancies were in 18 and 19-year-olds, not high school students. Although I personally think sex education is very important for 7th and 8th grade, Obviously, you all feel a lot more comfortable with sex education than your legislators. They really had real qualms about sex ed being taught in schools and not by parents, and were concerned about abstinence and all those things. So these bills do become very controversial, and you have very different opinions. But I think the legislators who are mature and responsible, you can separate your disagreements over policy with your personal feelings about someone. I mean, there are a lot of people that I disagree with vehemently on policy, but I like them a lot as people. And I think, just like I talked about the young lady with a disability or the young lady that had a child in 8th grade, everyone comes with their own personal perspective. And I think when you really get to know people and you understand why they feel the way they do and why that's their opinion on policy, then you can empathize with them, and you sort of understand their position better, and you understand that they're representing a different constituency maybe than I am. I'm from the Delta. People from Northwest Arkansas represent a completely different constituency. So you do really have to be able to separate policy from your personal feelings about someone. I mean, I'm not going to say legislators always do that, but it's the appropriate thing to do. I wanted Deanne just to talk to you a little bit, because she's house management, about house rules, about dress code, and who can be on the floor and all of those things, so you understand that.
So when you come to the well or when you're being recognized, a man has to wear the jacket and a tie. These are our own rules that we have created for ourselves, and it's kind of like a respect for the building. All right, we're here to do business for the people of Arkansas, and we should look like we're here to do business for the state of Arkansas. Women have to wear a suit jacket. If you come to the well and you don't have those appropriate things on, someone could yell point of order, and you would have to leave even if you're presenting your own bill. So it's important that you have those. We don't clap on the floor. We clap for, if there's somebody up here that's a guest, that's a special guest, we'll clap for them. House resolutions we clap for, but very seldom do we clap on the floor. Let's see. Oh, people on the floor. So the only people allowed on the floor is House members or previous members, and they have to wear a certain badge on, okay, for them to be on the floor. On swear-in day, we can have one family member on the floor with us. Other than that, no one's allowed on the floor. That's just our rules. Again, this is our rules. The Senate really has that same exact rule. Now, the senators can come down here because most of them have been previous reps, but we can't go on their floor. They'll kick us off. What now? Unless we get permission from a certain senator. And then, even yet then, I about got kicked off the floor down there, even though I had Senator Teague's permission to be there. We do have a private room, a private area, and it's through these doors and right back over in here, and that's a place just for reps to go. Past members can go. Someone was saying, somebody was on the struggle bus earlier. She was having a hard time staying awake. You know, you get tired from sitting there. You're like, good golly, when's it going to quit? We debated a bill for over 3 hours this past session. And you'll see people get up and leave, go get a drink, get themselves woke back up, and come sit back down. You don't want to be caught falling asleep in your chair because it's live streamed. And there's always camera people up there taking pictures. So it's important that you don't fall asleep in your chair. And in 3 hours, I guarantee you somebody has to go to the bathroom. So you just get up and leave and come back to your chair. Oh, yeah. There is, back there in the back, we actually have a TV in our quiet room and speakers, and you can hear very well in there. Even if you go to the bathroom, you'd be able to hear. There's speakers in there. There's speakers all throughout. So you wouldn't miss anything by getting up and going to the quiet room to get a drink and wake yourself back up. Anything else? Thank you.
Yeah, and I know many of you have paged, and it's a great program for younger people to come and see the Capitol. You have to be 12. It's usually 7th through 11th graders. So if you have people in your high school, I would encourage you to have them contact the representative and ask to be a page, because I think it's important. And I don't know, I might just take a moment. Do y'all have any burning questions now that you've kind of gone through the process? Does anybody want to ask anything of any representatives for a few minutes before we move on? Okay. Yeah. Oh, did you have a question? Yeah, sure. You can get up and leave your seat and go and come whenever you want.
Get her first. Back here in the back.
Like an actual bill to be passed.
Well, each bill's different. Like I said, 90% of the bills are pretty easy. They're everybody agrees it's no problem. It goes to committee, and it has to come up on the committee calendar and get passed. It can fail twice in committee, and it can't be brought back up. But if it passes the first time, then it has to sit on the desk, what they call, for 2 days. Then we vote on it in the House. And then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate they don't have to hold it for 2 days, but it goes to their committee and then passes and goes to the governor's office. So at the very most, you're probably talking about a week. Yeah. And when we're only in session every other year, like this year, we're in session from January to usually the middle of April. Then in 2018, we'll have a fiscal session that's just 30 days to address any appropriations or money, budgetary issues.
But I will say our job is not just those days.
Yeah, oh no, like Legislative Council works in the off session. We have committee meetings. I mean, I'm here a day or two a week, even in the off session usually.
Is there for representatives, are there a certain amount of absences or some days you can miss or you get in trouble?
No, you wouldn't want to miss too many though, or it might be a campaign issue when you have an opponent the next time.
Can I address something with that? So we have what you call leave, and you can have one of your fellow members ask for leave for you, and you can always pair your vote with somebody if you're going to be gone 2 days for medical reason or something. You could pair your vote with the parliamentarian, get it paired correctly, and you could still vote even though you're not in your seat by leave and it being paired. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes. It's seniority. We all come in here, all the chairs are cleared, and we start with the person who's been here the longest, who's Representative Meeks' brother, Stephen Meeks, and you go in order of seniority from 1 to 100, and you choose your seat. The seats in the back go first usually.
Because the cameras can't get them. Mainly.
Or it's just less disruptive to get up and go to the quiet room and leave if you're sitting in the back. Yes.
In order to get to this point of being a representative for the House, did you go through a lot of local government in order to?
I think everyone's done it differently. I never served in public office before. Like I said, I was a dentist for 25 years and then ran for state representative. I had been very involved in government. My husband was a representative. My father-in-law was a representative. My mother-in-law was a mayor. So I had been involved with other people's campaigns, but many people have been county judges and mayors. I mean, we all come from very different backgrounds. We have 2 members this time that were 23 years old, right out of college. So, and I think that diversity is the strength of the legislature. Like I said, everyone comes with their own unique perspective, and that contributes to the process. Anyone else? All right, let's go to the next House bill then.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please read House Bill 1008.
House Bill 1008, Representative Furman, to create a tax incentive for programs that aid individuals with intellectual disabilities in finding employment.
Representative Furman, you are recognized to explain the bill.
So I would like to start with a little bit of history of Arkansas first. In 1883, we established the Arkansas State Hospital. This was a place that served as an asylum for mentally disabled and mentally ill patients. It gave them a structured society and a structured lifestyle in which they could adapt to the changing environment around them, because it was an era of Reconstruction, and there was a lot that the nation had to do from the ground up. And while this plan worked for a very long time, in the 1970s, it began to falter. And with the rise of individualism and the want for community-based volunteering to help these mentally ill patients, the Arkansas State Hospital ceased to exist. And some statistics I would like to throw out there before I really discuss the bill is that 57,000 people in this nation are imprisoned, and they also have mental health conditions. I would also like to say that 1 in 4 Arkansans lack health insurance, and that's already on top of the fact that there is a lack in Arkansas of mental health insurance that's adequate. And then 26% of the homeless in the United States as well, they are also mentally disabled. So what this bill is going to do is they're going to go through a screening process. The mentally disabled that are willing to go into this process and find a job, they go into a screening or a job interview. And during that job interview, the interviewer attests their diagnosis, sees to the extent that their disability is, and will pair them with an employer. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, like how all that works. It pairs them with an employer that will provide them with a job best suited for them in a safe environment. So with the employer will apply for this. It's going to be a state program based off funding from state revenue. So they're going to go into a process, and by doing that and pairing with this and hiring those mentally disabled people, they're going to receive a tax cut annually, and it's going to be based off a 6-month period. They're going to have to hire this mentally disabled person for a 6-month period, and after that 6-month period is completed, there's going to be like an evaluation to make sure that everything is okay, everything is safe, and it's prepared to the best ability, and they're being efficient in their job. And after that, there's going to be a tax cut that they will receive to promote it and to give those employers some incentive to help with this process and bring those people up. So we're moving from that period of Reconstruction and that period of like rebuilding and doing things such as that with the Arkansas State Hospital, and we're taking what we've learned from that and we're creating a period of renewal and really just creating a new program that could serve as an example for the nation. I'll take questions.
Representative Sabin, purpose?
How would you guarantee safe places for these workers?
So that's going to be based off the interview process. Like, are you talking about discrimination and just...
Ill people have like social problems. Really hard for them to work in like a social environment. I guess that'd be part of the screening process, but how could you guarantee that they would get a job? How could you guarantee that they would get a job in that?
That is what this program is. That is the entire basis and foundation of this program, is that these employers are pairing with the state and like volunteering themselves because of that incentive with the tax cut. They're going to pair themselves with this program, and after the interview process is over, we're going to assess where that person will be best suited, like among the employers that we have.
Representative Gray, what is your purpose? You are recognized.
Thank you. I like the bill. I just would like some examples, because I'm trying to better understand it, of jobs that you think would benefit both employer and those with intellectual disabilities that they could do and would work in this program.
Okay. So going along with that, for an example, a person with OCD wouldn't necessarily be able to work in a job that is chaotic and doesn't have organization. And so if they were able to get a job in not waitressing or something along those lines, but something like being maybe a secretary or being someone that just organizes things. That would be a type of job with a private company that they could aid in. Okay.
Representative Furman has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Would anyone like to speak for the bill? All right. Representative Ladyman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would vote for this bill because there are people who do have these disabilities, and the only way that they can take their mind off that disability is if they do something. If they're just sitting at home, then they're just overthinking things or they're not really doing anything. So I think this would be a good opportunity for them to, break out of their comfort zone, do things that they normally wouldn't do. So I vote yes. Thank you.
Representative Gray, what is your purpose?
Motion.
All right. Let's hear your motion.
Immediate consideration.
That's a proper motion, and it is not debatable. The question before the House is immediate consideration of House Bill 1008. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The question before the House is passage of House Bill 1008. Prepare the machine, Madam Clerk. All right, has everyone voted? All right, cast up the ballot, Madam Clerk. All right, with 89 yeas and 4 nays, the House Bill 1008 has passed.
Representative Ferguson, you're recognized for what purpose?
Madam Speaker, I move we adjourn sine die.
That is a proper motion and is not debatable. The question before the House is to adjourn the Girls State Legislature sine die. Proper motion, not debatable. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The session is adjourned.
Okay. Look, turn my mic on. Great job, girls. I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody's bill, but I think you do understand the process a little better. It's been a pleasure having you, and I think you all are supposed to, you have a little time. They say between 1:30 and 1:45 to get to the bus, so you don't have to hurry. So if you still need to get your picture at the well or any of those things, you probably have 5 minutes to do that.